sign with stop children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
I must ask the honourable gentleman to withdraw the term that I think he used. I think I heard the term pipsqueak.
They remind me of my two young boys squabbling at bath time.
Hello, welcome to the Sean and Simon Show. This is Fill Me In, the second episode. I'm Simon.
And I'm Sean. Hello.
Hello. So Sean, would you like to tell the lovely listeners at home what they've got in store today?
Right, well, coming up we've got our usual topical discussion. We got the topic from an email today.
So thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks for getting involved. I kind of said that as if I've got more to talk about. We've got My Opinion Is, the regular feature on Fill Me In, and we've got a film review, haven't we?
Yeah, which is Gone Baby Gone, so got that to look forward to. Now, let's get cracking, shall we?
Yeah. So last week, on last episode of Fill Me In, we asked you guys to get involved and drop us some discussions. The same applies again this week, so, if you want to hear us talk about anything next week, then, you know how to contact us, Facebook, Twitter. We are Sean and Simon, our handle on Twitter, and it's the Sean and Simon Show at hotmail.co.uk.
Yeah.
I think it might just be Sean and Simon Show.
We'll clarify that.
That's slightly unprofessional. Check that out on Facebook though, it's all good. The discussion we picked for this week because we got a few requests. And we thought this one would be quite meaty, didn't we?
Yeah, we thought it'd be a good one to do.
Yeah.
So, we were asked whether employers are right to use social networking sites such as Facebook to analyse their potential employees.
Spy,
well.
On their employees.
Spy is a loaded word.
Well, I'm very strong on that position.
Strong. In what way? Explain yourself.
Well, I think it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, why?
But it's difficult to articulate.
Alright, well here's where
This is bad, I want to hear where you stand.
I think employers are perfectly justified in doing it. I think if you're going to make a status or a post or a photo public,
precisely, yeah. It's public. It's public, and you're opening that for the world to see. But what I don't agree with is when these employers look at it and they think, he likes to have a laugh. He likes to drink at the weekend, and they base this the job prospects on their social life. These people could be the most hardworking person from 9 till 5, but when they leave work, it's their right to live their life how they want.
Absolutely, and I do think maybe to some extent employers are wrong to judge people based on these pictures, because who doesn't, or few people, or most people in fact, enjoy a drink, or enjoy to go out on a night, or whatever. And perhaps maybe in the sense that people have to sort of monitor their behaviour on Facebook, maybe to that extent that maybe that's, a problem, but then should people have to monitor their behaviour? Surely it then becomes a social issue. It becomes a problem with the employer's mindset, with the fact that they're judging people based on the fact that they go out.
Yeah.
That's not the social media's problem. That's a personal issue.
If an employer asks me, what do you do out of work? I'll say, I've got various hobbies through podcasts, nice little thing.
Yeah, plug it to anyone who listens.
Where I think the social networking sites are a problem is this general, I don't know if I'm allowed to use this term, frape.
I think that's a perfectly acceptable phrase. It's common currency. People use it in everyday conversation. It doesn't have the same connotations as its counterpart.
If you get like a nasty frape, it's...
Yeah, but then that's the kind of thing that you delete anyway, or I certainly would.
Well, there are clever people are discovering, more and more ways to frape. I make it sound like it's I have.
You've been victimised terribly.
Yeah, I'm making it sound like it's some form of terrorism, but they are
in many ways it is.
They are discovering new ways of fraping people without them noticing, such as changing their gender or changing their birthday or joining certain groups.
Yeah, but no one's going to judge you based on what your birthday is on Facebook.
Well, no, but I'm just using that as an example.
All right, yeah, I see what you mean.
Well, actually, you say that. Someone changed my birthday, right? And was it you? Was that you? I forgot that was you. Well, when my birthday was changed on Facebook, most of the people on there were like, "Oh, happy birthday," because no one knows me that well to know my birthday. But there were certain people, like my own mother, who was like, Sean, what's going on here? And the horrible thing about that was, she genuinely thought I had changed my own birthday to get attention.
That, to be fair,
get attention.
That is the kind of thing you would do.
No, it's not.
Really? I think you are that much of an attention seeker.
No, I'm not. My own mother.
She knows you very well.
Oh, shut up.
I'm on your mum's side here.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
Language. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the employers using this to buy on employees. I don't know where I stand.
You don't know where you stand? Well...
No, but I think the thing is, if I was an employer, I definitely would.
Yeah, so would I. But I think...
But the thing is, I wouldn't look at their pictures or for example, or their friends and think, oh no, he's a bad... The thing where I think it starts getting really bad is if they are, for example, neo-Nazis or something like that. Their moral judgments start to come into it and kind of don't want that person working for your company and then reflecting their views onto the public because then that looks bad on the company.
No, of course, and that is the kind of behaviour that we don't really want to encourage.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, maybe if someone is going to judge you based on, what you like to do on a weekend, if an employer is going to do that, then in some ways maybe it's good for the employee themselves because they don't want to get involved in the company with people who have that kind of ethos. They're not going to fit in that environment.
Yeah,
so maybe
I don't think that's got anything to do with what the employer's looking for.
Well, no.
I don't think they're on the Facebook going, oh, I hope they fit in.
Well, I don't know. It's an important part of the office dynamic, isn't it? I'm saying this as though I've worked in an office. I haven't. But you want to know you're working with people day to day that you get on with.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like we very much misjudged this topic. I expected it to be really meaty and to have loads of intellectual opinions on it, but I've got nothing. I see both sides of the argument.
That's good. We can't be diametrically opposed every week.
I guess, yeah. It doesn't make great listening, though. Apologies. Well, I'm really embarrassed about the fact that I jumped into that, and I was like, yeah, I've got nothing to say.
Well, don't be embarrassed.
We've got a nice little thing for My Opinion Is this week.
Yeah, essentially, I think you quite like this, Sean, because as a politics student, it's something that you think about quite frequently, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
My opinion is that the Western promotion of capitalist democracy through neo-imperialist methods, big word, is wrong.
Let me have a look at that. Let me see what.
Alright, let's have a look.
Alright, hang on. Because I need to kind of deconstruct that for any listeners who...
Yeah. Go on,
I'm not calling you stupid, it's just I barely understood that.
But explain
I'm a politics student.
Explain it to the people that haven't studied politics.
Yeah. Well, basically, I think what he's saying there is it's like forcing democracy upon rogue states or
rogue states. That's
hang on, that's an official thing.
I don't like that term.
I think the UN came up with it. I can't remember who came up with that, but it's basically states who don't fit in with any ideological alliance. And they're kind of prone to nuclear armament. Anyway, moving on. So what he's saying there is the West promoting democracy and capitalism abroad.
Forcefully,
yeah, through things like humanitarian intervention, for example. So take Iraq. You've got a state, an authoritarian state. The West come in and go, we'll overthrow the leader and install democracy and capitalism.
Yeah.
Using military force. Or diplomacy, I don't know. I mean, I suppose diplomacy could...
Diplomacy is more acceptable, I think. But even then, you can be kind of forceful through diplomacy.
Economic sanctions as well.
Yeah.
But, so you believe that's wrong? You believe that imposing democracy is wrong? Yeah,
I think it's based on a sort of concept of absolute morality, and that's not something I believe in. I mean, I personally do believe that capitalism and democracy are systems that, they're good systems. I believe in them. But how much of that, I do wonder, is based on the fact that I've grown up in a capitalist democracy. We believe in that, but that's because of our culture. We've been bred. We don't know anything else. So it does seem right to us.
But how do you account for the phenomenon of democratic peace?
democratic peace, yeah.
The fact that, there's very few wars between democracies. And it seems to be, in history, the only model, with the exception of empire, the only model, obviously a country can't go to war if it owns the world.
Yeah.
Except through civil wars and things like that, and uprisings and military coups. But through the democratic peace phenomenon, you've got peace in the West.
Yeah, well, as I'm saying, I do believe in democracy. I think it is an ultimately good system, but hypocritical of the democratic state to force democracy on others.
I know. I see what you mean. It's undemocratic to force democracy. Yeah.
I mean, it's in the you said before a while ago that it's in the treaties for the EU and the UN to actively enforce democracy to the rogue states, and I think that's troubling in some ways.
Personally, I believe that capitalism should be. I mean, I'm not a big capitalist in that sense of the word. I'm not all like leave it to market forces, but
no.
I very much see the potential of capitalism to promote peace.
Yeah, so do I. But at the same time, I think, who are we to say that capitalism is the perfect system when there is so much wrong with our own society at the same time?
Yeah, but you've got to look at the scale of the problems.
Well, yeah, you're right.
We've got our biggest problem is we've got pregnant 14-year-olds drinking a can of beer and having a cigarette.
But then there's great poverty in our country as well. That's not the only problem.
But not to the levels of, say, Africa.
No, but it's still very troubling.
Not to the, our problems in our society is nothing compared to the societal problems in the Middle East. People walk out and afraid that there's going to be a car bomb at any moment because of different interest groups, rivalry, and things. I was very, very careful how to put that. That was a difficult thing to say on the spot. But do you see what I mean? Our problems aren't that big, and comparatively.
I get what you're saying, but they are still developing civilizations.
Yeah, but where are they going to develop to? Do we need to give them a hand? I'm not saying I agree with them.
Maybe we shouldn't give them a hand. Let countries
let them blow each other up.
No, but let younger countries develop on their own.
Take a place like North Korea. They've kind of battled through it, and now they threaten our security. Now, from whether we have the right, whether we have the responsibility to help them for their own sake or not. In this case, I think from a neo-imperialist point of view, from especially realism and looking at it from the United States in particular, their security is threatened by these states that they don't comply with democracy, aren't tied in with capitalist interdependency, and they've got nuclear weapons. It's all well and good the UK having nuclear weapons, but we've got massive trade ties with the United States.
Yeah,
we've got treaties, and we're all part of the same organisations and things like that. We've got this responsibility to the United States to keep our toes in line.
Yeah.
These rogue states have nothing like that. All they're looking at is their own security, which then threatens the United States and the West.
I see your point.
Especially from a nuclear level. I mean, I'm fully aware it was the United States that initiated Hiroshima, but we've proven that that's possible. We've proven that we are possible of using these nuclear weapons.
Yeah, you might have defeated me on that one. But I'm
not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that, I see the point of view, but and I don't really see a way out.
But maybe I'm being optimistic and thinking that good diplomacy can work. I don't know.
It depends, because good diplomacy would work with ideologically aligned states, but when you say the West.
Yeah.
If we were to drop out of the EU, for example, we'd still have a good relationship with Europe, simply because we're ideologically aligned. But when you get a state that is, for example, a theocracy, a state that despises the capitalist West, despises democracy and all these things that we are most proud of, diplomacy's not going to work there.
No.
And where do we stand? Do we force them into our line of thinking? I mean, in terms of forcing them, it's not like we're making them do it. There are people there who want that. It's not like we're forcing all of them to do it.
Yeah.
That's where all these conflicts within the area come from. now we've got students in the Middle East now who are protesting, and they'd rather listen to their iPods than sit and do prayer, for example.
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Capitalism is taking over slowly, and the governments are opposing that, and then that obviously breeds more hate for the West, and it's a vicious spiral, and I don't see any other way out of it, but I don't know if I agree on it.
But then that's not necessarily a case of sort of saying that promotion of democracy is right. That's more an issue of defence. I mean, even so, there are still other systems that could work. Technocracy, for example, that might work.
But capitalism and democracy is proven.
Yeah, no, it is.
And in a way, I mean, it's almost, we're justifying promoting these things through their own paradigms. So we're saying we should go out and promote democracy because it's democratic and it instills peace.
Yeah.
And we want to give everyone these human rights. But human rights is a paradigmatical invention.
No, of course, it is man-made, but then it's based on sort of good principles.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else I can say.
Well, that's kind of that's going against your original point, I think.
Well, maybe. No, but that's my point. I still believe in democracy. But yeah, basically, although you've raised a good argument, I'm still troubled by
I see what you mean. Yeah, I think it's wrong, but it's unavoidable.
So my opinion is final. Would you say this week?
My opinion is final that I agree with you that it's wrong, but it's unavoidable.
Okay.
From a security point of view.
And I agree with that.
Oh,
we've reached a nice sort of opposition to last week, isn't it? We didn't agree at all last week, but this time we've agreed twice.
Oh boy. Hey, this is a long one, this.
It is. We better get going with the next feature.
The next feature. Gone Baby Gone.
Gone Baby Gone, yeah.
It's been a really, massive film of mine. I really, really love this film.
Yeah, you've been trying to get me to watch it for a while, haven't you?
Yeah, it's my second favourite film, I think.
Second favourite, and what's your favourite?
Fight Club.
Fight Club, good choice.
But honestly, this film to me is perfect.
I wouldn't say it's perfect. I enjoyed it immensely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but there was something I couldn't quite put my finger on. That kind of.
Your beef was with Morgan Freeman.
My beef was kind of with Morgan Freeman. Yeah, I think. Without spoiling the listener who hasn't seen it, Morgan Freeman is a big character in the film, and I think he disappears halfway through the film. You don't see very much of him after the halfway point. But I was expecting him to appear at any second precisely because Morgan Freeman was who he is.
Yeah.
And I think if you'd got a smaller actor, someone who you weren't expecting to fulfill a larger role, that would have meant that his character's big sort of shocking reveal. It would have been more shocking if it was a smaller
I can't really
actor.
argue with that because that's simply a matter of opinion. I think if you'd have used a lesser known actor, the audience might have forgotten or something. Because
I don't think they would.
That's unavoidable that we're going to have that debate, and that's not going to get solved. But to me, that film was perfect. The soundtrack was incredible.
The soundtrack was good.
The
plot was great.
Harry Gregson Williams did the soundtrack. Big fan of his.
Yeah.
The plot was great. It was based on a novel, I think.
Really?
Yeah. It was the same title, just with commas between each word.
Yeah, because grammar isn't very popular in film titles.
I Am Legend. The acting was phenomenal.
That was very good.
Directing, Ben Affleck, great debut. In his directing. Yeah, it was all round a perfect film.
Yeah, it was a very raw film, and it was quite emotional.
Powerful. He didn't find it as powerful.
I don't think it was powerful. I thought it was really emotionally charged and quite a sort of tender film.
I found less of the emotion and more of the power.
It's weird how we both had those differing responses, and I'm in no way saying that it's a bad film because I think it's a great film.
No, but you know me, I bawl my eyes out at every film ever.
That's true.
And I've seen this film literally 20 times, and I've only had it a couple of weeks. And I very rarely cry at it. I well up sometimes, but I don't bawl.
But in some ways, that's the kind of the sign of a more emotionally satisfying film because it's sort of it's raw throughout.
No.
Because
it is raw throughout. It's
nice to have that emotional climax where you can cry, but sometimes the sort of sense of fragility throughout is kind of so much stronger from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
it's just an equally valid but very different storytelling medium.
Well,
but
that's the film review. Brilliant film. I'd give it a 10 out of 10.
I wouldn't give it a 10 out of 10 because I don't think any film deserves a 10 out of 10. Nothing is perfect from an artistic perspective for me.
I found it perfect.
Well, we've finally got.
He's just wrong.
We've got to disagree a bit today.
We have, yeah.
I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10.
8.5.
Well, and I guess if you're rounding it up, you could say 9.
You round it up. if you round it up, it's 10, mate.
Well, depends how much rounding you're doing. Really, but we're getting into
2 decimal places.
We're getting a bit
classic GCSE maths.
Don't remind me.
So yeah, thanks for the response and stuff with the show. Really appreciate it, and the feedback as well. We've got a few people who've come back to us and let us know what they think.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I've been Sean.
And I've been Simon, and I still am.
And you guys have been great. Ultimate cheese.
See you later, guys.
See you guys. Thanks for listening.
Children, watch that sound. Everybody look what's going down.
I must ask the Honourable Gentleman to withdraw the term that I think he used. I think I heard the term pipsqueak.
They remind me of my 2 young boys squabbling at bath time.